Hi, everybody, and welcome to the capital of Nicaragua. We're here at the Estadio Olímpico in Managua on a warm, humid, and overcast Saturday night. It's a clash of the top two teams in Nicaragua's Liga Primera. Real Esteli, tops in the league so far. 5 wins in 5 matches against Walter Ferretti, who sit in second place. 4 wins and a draw. So far, it's the 6th match day out of 18 in this 2020 Apertura season, and we are so happy to have you along tonight. I'm Ben Wilson, joined by James Poovey. We're broadcasting remotely, but James, for the first time since March, fans allowed back in the stadium, one of the first leagues, Liga Primera, to go forward with that. A couple other leagues, many in Europe, have started to allow their fans back in, and while it will be capped just to 50% capacity, tonight you see some of the fans lining up behind the goal to our right. Certainly great to see that, James, and we're expecting as good of an atmosphere as you can hope for, at least with some fans in the stands tonight. Top 2 teams in the league and a lot of connections between players who've been on both sides tonight.
Yeah, great to be here again with you, Ben, tonight. Another great Liga Primera matchup tonight between Walter Ferretti and Real Esteli. Really looking forward to this one. Taufik Guarch, former Real Esteli player last year. Looking forward to seeing him. And this game tonight featuring 2 of the top goal scorers in the league with Deshaun Forbes on Walter Ferretti and Juan Barrera. So it could be quite a shootout here tonight.
Well, you have Esteli, best goal-scoring team in the league so far. They've scored 15 goals in their 5 games, while Walter Ferretti, best defensive club, only 2 goals allowed in their 5, and they have not allowed a goal in their last 321 minutes played. So let's set the stage with the starting 11 tonight. We'll start with Real Esteli, the visitors under second-year coach Holver Flores, youngest manager in Liga Primera history, was hired last season as a 22-year-old. He starts with 3 changes from their win last Saturday, a dramatic 2-1 victory over Jalapa. They scored the game winner in the 89th minute, with the keeper Rodrigo Romo making his second start in a row after finally getting cleared. The Spaniard, who makes his way to Esteli in his first season in Liga Primera action, with a back 3 of Oscar Acevedo, Manuel Rosas, and Cristian Gutierrez replacing Oscar Lopez, who heads to the bench tonight. With the 4 in the midfield, Jorge Betancourt, Richard Rodriguez, Yon Mosquera. He's back in the starting lineup after sitting out last weekend, replacing Marlon Lopez, with, in addition, in that midfield, Josue Quijano. And in the 3 attacking positions, Luis Acuna, who's been mostly used off the bench this season, but makes his second start, the Argentinian, along with Juan Barrera, who James just mentioned, 8 goals in the first 5 matches this season, and the youngster and the bright number 10, Harold Medina. As you see the teams taking the field, a little more pomp and circumstance than we've seen so far, James, at least in the matches we've covered, and it's so great to have fans in the building tonight as the players who they've not played the national anthem before, but the players get to sing along and recognize that, with some fans trickling in tonight. As we'll also look at the Walter Ferretti lineup, 4-3-3 as well. With their 3rd-year coach, Henry Urbina, in his second stint, he has overseen Walter Ferretti. They've qualified for the playoff tournament, and the top 4 teams out of the 10 in Liga Primera qualify for the playoffs each fall and spring. And they've qualified all 7 tournaments he has been a part of. Starting with Denis Espinoza, arguably the best goalkeeper in Nicaraguan history, at least in the top 5. He's a 37-year-old who has been the captain for 13 years for the Black and Reds. He starts in goal with Henry Nino, along with Marvin Fletes, Rene Huete, and Jason Castellon in the back 4. Hader Calero in the midfield, along with Cristiano Fernandez and the youngster Osler Mendoza, who makes his senior team debut tonight. With Deshaun Forbes, 5 goals to lead the team, second in Liga Primera, behind only Juan Barrera. Taufik Guarch, the former Esteli man, and Christian Flores. All right, James, your expectations tonight, as you said, you're expecting goals from Esteli. Of course, Walter Ferretti, they'll have other ideas with such a great defensive-minded setup on the pitch. What do you think prevails tonight in a clash of differing styles? Great offense for Esteli, great defense for Walter Ferretti.
Well, it's going to be a clash of the Titans for sure out here tonight, Ben, and we'll see who draws first blood. Both teams are going to want to come out hot. They want to come out and get off to a great start, get that early goal, and get that mental advantage going. And we'll just see which one is able to get it going first.
The two captains you saw there a moment ago lining up. 3 changes as well for Walter Ferretti, and they're starting 11 from last Saturday, in which they dramatically beat Dirian Hen. So both teams coming off emotional wins. Ferretti with Deshaun Forbes scoring in the 92nd minute to beat the Cacique. And that put Ferretti second in Liga Primera. Here at the Estadio Olimpico in Managua, where about 8,000 fans is the listed capacity of this stadium. Of course, the Liga Primera just announcing, as I mentioned this week, that starting tonight in the 6th match day, they are allowing a 50% fan capacity, are requiring masks to be worn. They have sanitizing stations set up as you enter, so good to see they're taking the right precautions. But it is that time of the season, James, things really kicking into gear. We've seen 5 matches played, some of the top teams really starting to establish themselves. And this is a critical stretch in the league season as the League Cup resumes next week. The CONCACAF League will be getting underway next month, so a busy time in Nicaraguan soccer.
Yeah, it's definitely a busy time for Nicaraguan soccer right now. This is going to be a great matchup tonight. Both these teams want to stay hot, and they want to keep playing well, and this is a great time. The cream is starting to rise to the top, as you mentioned, and the presence of fans tonight is just outstanding. The atmosphere, you can already feel a little bit of buzz in the building. You can see a few more fans trickling in there to the building right now. So it's going to be great to have them in attendance tonight, and I'm sure these players will be excited about it as well.
We've mentioned in the past, if you've seen some of the broadcasts we've had of Esteli and Dirian Hen, that is known locally as El Clásico Nacional. Those are the two most historic teams for Liga Primera. They've met they've actually won the most titles between the two, 14 for Esteli, second all time. But this matchup in particular, Esteli and Walter Ferretti, it is now known as El Clásico Joven, the Young Classic, because of how many times these teams have faced in championship matches in the top flight of Liga Primera. They've met 15 times, Esteli winning 12 of those matches. So these are teams with some history. They might not get the top billing as the biggest rivalry in the country, but it's still a contentious matchup every time they square off. And we're underway tonight from the Estadio Olimpico. Again, Ben Wilson, James Poovey on hand with the Rojinegros, the Red and Blacks, in the home jerseys. Walter Ferretti against El Tren del Norte of Real Esteli. And right away, a shot on goal parried away by Rodrigo Romo. First look coming to the former Esteli man, Taufik Guarch, less than a half minute in.
Guarch wasting no time there trying to get one back on his old team right there early in the game. Players shaking up there now for Walter Ferretti.
Quite a bit of action in the first 45 seconds. We'll see the trainers come out. I believe that is Deshaun Forbes clutching his eye. As you can see at the Olimpico, it's a nice field turf surface. National team plays here, as do several teams in Liga Primera. And because of that stoppage, they will force Forbes to step off to the side of the pitch for just a moment before coming back on. As you see, Christian Gutierrez.
Forbes, the 23-year-old native of Bluefields, another Bluefields native in goal now tonight for Real Esteli this week, Denver Fox.
Forbes, who began his career at Esteli in the youth team, really didn't play much for the senior side. He spent 2 years in the red and white, but only appeared in 3 matches in the senior club. Signed him as a 19-year-old, but he went on to Real Madrid, Scored 5 goals in his 1 year there. He's back on the pitch now. You see him in the number 9 shirt in the red and black. But has found his goal-scoring form now in his second season with Walter Ferretti. And 5 goals in 5 matches this year, including the game winner last Saturday night.
And kudos to Walter Ferretti as well. Those jerseys are quite easy to read here on the broadcast, so thanks a lot for that. We appreciate that.
Yeah, you are a fan of that, of course. And a welcome.
Hear a little fan atmosphere in there. Here we go.
Yeah, it's a welcome return of some fans who, of course, realize that with only the 50% capacity, you have to be as loud as possible because you're trying to make up for the other half who are not able to be here. So the chants going on tonight. Esteli will have a chance to go back home on Wednesday. Both Wednesday and next Saturday, they'll have home matches, once in the Copa Nicaragua, the other back in Liga Primera. Castillon looking to get in across, but that's blocked out well. After that early flurry, saw Guarch have a good look on goal. It's continued to be some established possession for Walter Ferretti.
They have definitely spent the majority of this first period on the Real Esteli end of the pitch. They're forcing the issue right now, and they're trying to get something going early here.
We've talked to, as I mentioned, El Clásico Joven, as it's known now. It's not as though Ferretti are an extremely young or newly formed team. They've been around since 1984. Renamed in 91 after their founder, Walter Ferretti, who had died in a car crash in the late 80s. But initially formed as the Ministry of the Interior. That's what the team was called. It was basically a police team. They played in a government league before, in 1985, joining the league ranks, where they were placed into the second division and immediately won promotion to the top flight, where they have stayed ever since, have never been relegated, Walter Ferretti, in their history. But here a foul is given up by the Brazilian Cristiano Fernandes, and a first free kick coming for Esteli as we'll get another look. Luis Acuna going down.
Acuna went down hard there, but he pops up right away. He'll be all right on that one. They got the instruments out tonight, Ben. I wonder if they're allowed to bring any kind of noisemakers they want.
I would guess, based on the beating of the drums and the brass instruments, I would say yes. And it's certainly welcomed.
Yes, it is.
Now, here comes,
definitely adds to the atmosphere.
Here comes Acuna wide on that free kick. And it is, you can just see as well, James, the body language of the players. It's something where we've now been without fans for so long, and Liga Primera, one of the first leagues to come back, and they didn't even have to resume play. They essentially kept on playing throughout the pandemic due to Nicaragua not seeing hardly any cases, under 5,000 since the pandemic hit in March. But I just feel like over the months we've seen, you almost get used to that atmosphere, playing with no fans and being used to have to create on your own. And you can just tell a little more juice in the legs of all these guys now, having that added force behind them, something that I guess you realize pretty quickly how much you missed.
Yeah, you definitely miss it, and I'm sure that the players will definitely not take it for granted going forward. You know, you mentioned the months and months with no fans in the stands and just kind of really being able to focus on the game with not a whole lot of outside noise. But it's great to hear the fans in the stands again tonight, and I'm sure the players are feeding off of that so far here. You can just tell by the energy.
So we saw a free kick on one end for Luis Acuna. Here, Cristiano Fernandes, the veteran, 35-year-old Brazilian, who's the oldest outfield player for Walter Ferretti. You have Dennis Espinosa, the 37-year-old, in goal. But it's a chance at a free kick for Ferretti, who have been very successful recently against Esteli. They won both matches and drew both. I guess you can split it up, a draw and a win in each Apertura and Clausura last season. And keep in mind, that was a season in which Esteli were the double champions, winning both the Apertura and Clausura tournaments. This free kick deflected by the wall. It was Guarch who sent it right into the groin area of Jorge Betancourt, and he's bent over at the waist, but looks to be all right as he hobbles into the box. And a corner coming, first of the night for the hosts, and Walter Ferretti to be taken by Henry Nino.
Nice job of standing strong there by Betancourt on defense. He took a good shot, but bounced back quickly.
Push-off called in the box. With that corner, you can see a pretty solid look at the stands behind the goal. That appears to be, James, where most of the fans are electing to set up shop. Not a bad idea.
It's a pretty good look. It's not too bad outside either. 80 degrees right now. It's going to be 77 as the low tonight, so a pretty nice evening outside.
Humid as normal, but that's to be expected. Everyone's used to that in Nicaragua. It's Walter Ferretti looking to push forward with Deshaun Forbes taken off the ball by Yon Mosquera, and Esteli will now look for the counter. Beautiful ball played out wide to Jorge Betancourt. His ball right across the face of goal, but a crucial challenge to nod that ball out of play. And a corner for Esteli as René Huete played over 3,000 minutes last year, and he just gets there in time.
Betancourt had the right idea on that one, trying to bend it back onto the inside a little bit. Had a man, but great defense on that time for Walter Ferretti.
And not only did Huete get the touch, but also knocks it off the Esteli man, so actually a goal kick. Good end-to-end stuff here, just 8.5 minutes in, but both teams being very aggressive early, and not something you necessarily would have expected if you're just looking at the recent history between these two teams, because 9 of the last 10 meetings, there's not been more than one goal scored by either team. A lot of 1-0, 1-1, 0-0 type matches that have been very close, physical, but usually low scoring. So we'll see if Walter Ferretti can strike first as they look for another corner. Number 9 and 10, the two most dangerous players right in the middle of that box for Ferretti, and Forbes and Guarch. High corner coming in, but another push-off is called, this time on Guarch. And a goal kick to Rodrigo Romo.
Boy, Taufik Guarch has been around the ball all night long as we get another look at this one here. Off the head of Fletes in the middle. Nice defense that time for Esteli, holding that one out.
And that crashing run by Forbes, the 23-year-old, as James had mentioned, from Bluefields. It's known as a very poor area in Nicaragua on the eastern coast. It's where Esteli keeper Denver Fox is from. Fox, who started the first 4 matches. He's been on the bench now the last 2, as Rodrigo Romo has been given his chance in goal. And we'll see who prevails in that ongoing keeper battle. Fox played pretty well in the first 4 matches. He was the start of the whole preseason, as Esteli did not sign Romo due to COVID-related issues, trying to get him from Spain, but he was not officially signed until the final week of preseason, so he is just now match fit. Did concede once in that 2-1 win over Jalapa last Saturday, but made a couple crucial saves in the second half, and he is rewarded with another start in goal tonight.
A great bit of action, as you mentioned earlier, Ben, in this one. Just both teams getting after it here tonight.
Now it is Yon Mosquera who goes down. It was within the first 30 seconds that Guarch released a shot from outside the box, forced a save out of Rodrigo Romo.
A little bit of a flop there from Mosquera. Didn't really take a whole lot of contact on that second look.
A turnover here as it's taken away by Guarch. It was his first season last year in Nicaraguan football. A former youth star in Mexico. As Luis Acuña's ball headed down, and a chance for Ferretti to get the clear. But Guarch came to Esteli, Alterno Norte, last season in the Clausura, and had a lot of success, scoring 5 goals in 21 matches, led the team in the Clausura last season. Cross comes in here. That's sent out by Christian Flores. That was the big piece of transfer business that Ferretti accomplished over the summer, bringing in an experienced player like Guarch, who's now a 28-year-old, has Liga MX experience, top flight in Mexico, and that's a big deal when you talk to anybody in Central America. And so Guarchi, just by virtue of that, 23 career matches between Tecos and Tigres, two pretty big clubs in Liga MX. Head around by Forbes.
Right on time, there's Guarch clearing it out. He's been all over the place tonight for Walter Ferretti. You mentioned a valuable player and a sought-after player, not only Liga Primera, but in other professional leagues as well.
Some more sustained possession for Esteli, but Mosquera has that shot blocked out to Oscar Acevedo, and that's sent well up and over the bar for a goal kick. And it is interesting when you look at a player like Guarch James, the number 10 in the black and red for Walter Ferretti this season. He's seen certainly as a huge asset for any club in Liga Primera, but for him, he's really just trying to revive his career, considered somewhat of a burnout in the Mexican system, was on the U20 national team where he scored a goal in the 2011 U20 World Cup, but playing in Liga MX, as I said, that's a huge accomplishment for anybody born in Mexico, or really any player in Central America. But his Tecos team was relegated, spent some time in the second division, but had his struggles over the past few years, and all of a sudden finds himself in his late 20s and playing in Nicaragua.
And playing at the top level as well and being effective in almost every game. It's really been a pleasure to watch him over the last few months playing, especially in the Clausura season. And he comes out here tonight just on fire, trying to make a difference for the team right away. And I had a gut feeling a couple weeks ago when I saw this one on the schedule that he was going to be amped up for this game here tonight.
Well, it's the only team he really has any history with, of course, in Nicaragua and Liga Primera, but he was a big part of Esteli's Clausura title victory. They played one of those championship legs in this ground at the Estadio Olimpico against Managua, the Blue Lions, part of what was a 4-2 victory on aggregates in the Clausura. That was after a 2-1 win over Managua in the Apertura. As you get another look there at the streaking Christian Flores, that ball just going outside the touchline. The Managua native unable to keep that in play.
The other Christian Gutierrez in trail there for Esteli on defense that time.
We mentioned in our open how not only this matchup has become kind of the second fiddle rivalry behind the Esteli Dirianhen derby in Nicaraguan football, but also a lot of connections between former teams and players who've been on each club. We mentioned Guarch several times already in the opening quarter hour. There are 6 former Esteli players on this current Walter Ferretti team, and several from Esteli who have also spent time in the red and black. So it's not just Guarch. There are many others, and Christian Gutierrez, who you mentioned a moment ago, James, he's one of them. Spent the 2017-18 season on loan with Ferretti, Josue Quijano, and Juan Barrera, former Rojinegros as well. As it looks like another free kick coming for the home side.
A lot of history between these guys. They've played each other on different teams. They know each other personally, some of them, I'm sure. So it's always great when they're able to get together and battle.
And it's Jason Castellon, a transfer back in 2017 from Juventus Managua. Both he and Rene Hoete had transferred from Juventus to Walter Ferretti in that same window. And they have enjoyed a lot of success playing for another of the nation's capital teams. You see that three-man wall and a free kick coming. Looking for the back post, but that's over the heads of both Nino and Fletes. Fletes, who's just back from suspension, he was red carded against Jalapa and then sat out his match in a win at Junior Managua. Also didn't play last weekend at Dirian Hen, so he's back after a two-match absence. As you get a look at first Rodrigo Romo in goal and our referee tonight. A flurry of activity right at the start. A tough shot from Guarch that was saved well by Romo about 30 seconds in. Since then, no real clear-cut chances, but both teams have not been afraid to push the ball up and down the pitch in this first match with any sort of fans allowed tonight in Liga Primera.
Yeah, once again, great to have that ambiance in the background behind the game. Hope you guys are enjoying the broadcast tonight, and it's just great to have fans back in attendance. Feels just a little bit more normal tonight, Ben.
And even with us broadcasting remotely, and a lot of people to thank for helping to make that happen with you, James, in Arizona. I'm here in California, but I almost felt at times like you were commentating kind of a ghost match without any fans, and it's just sort of the reality of a pandemic. We were happy just to have anything to call, but definitely the additions of those ambient noises in the background. It is a feeling of a real match tonight, and it's happening in the nation's capital of Managua between the two top teams in this early Liga Primera season. It was actually Walter Ferretti who won the regular season last year in the Apertura, but then fell in the semifinals on penalties to Managua, and just a heartbreaking loss, 5-3 after a 4-4 aggregate draw.
Taking another look here. Action in the middle of the field.
Osler Mendoza. You can tell he's young, James, because his jersey is up above 40. That is the clear sign of a normal U20 player, but they've called up Mendoza once before to sit on the bench. He had not actually gotten in. He's a Managua native. Did appear in 2 matches last season, so it's his 3rd ever match at the senior level, but his debut this year.
That is a veteran observation right there, my friend.
Yeah, well,
nice job. Nice job.
Watch enough of these.
I am always taking notes, pal.
The U20 match earlier today, won by Esteli 7-1. With 2 goals from Edgar Castillo, who, another one of those swing players, featured heavily on the senior team last year for Esteli, but he's been having success on the U20 side. That's whipped in by Acuna, and the youngster Mendoza sends it out. Shot attempts up and over the bar as Espinoza looked to have that the whole way, but not on target. On the look for Rosas.
Nice job, just a little bit too high over the bar. Acuna with a nice attempt there from the left side. He was using a nice bit of patience there, trying to make something happen in there towards the middle, but no one home that time.
Actually, I believe that was Josue Quijano on the shot attempt. Espinoza not really challenged yet, the 37-year-old. And as we've played 20 minutes in this match, he has overseen his defensive team now go nearly 350 minutes. They're at 342 right now without allowing a goal. 3 straight clean sheets. And what you saw right there, that's been part of the reason why they've been such a superb team, just blocking out any chances on those looks at crossing balls into dangerous positions. And that's been Esteli's game. Get wide on the flanks, use their speed, and then cross balls in. So that's where the differing styles and just the strengths being in similar opposing areas makes this matchup really interesting. Streaking is Fernandez, but can't quite get to that toe-poked ball. Still though, possession for Walter Ferretti, nearly halfway through our opening 45.
That one there for Fernandez might have been the closest opportunity so far for Ferretti.
Richard Rodriguez looks to play Juan Barrera through. Barrera, he scored 5 times in his career against Walter Ferretti. And again outside to Acuna. Chips this ball back post, but a little too far for Barrera, who was in an offside position anyway.
Too bad on that one there.
As a Ferretti player down, didn't look to be any contact, just started clutching his legs after the play.
Might have been a knee or something on that one. Great action here tonight, Ben. This is a pretty intense game so far.
It is Castellón, so good to see him up. Two teams, not only are they playing extremely well right now on the soccer pitch, top 2 teams in Liga Primera, but they've both been a big part of just sports in general in Nicaragua for years. And you look at Esteli, anybody who's been to the Estadio Independencia, where the baseball stadium butts right up against a portion of that stand, knows all the different sports that they're a part of: baseball, cycling, basketball. And Esteli actually just announced a new sport. They'll be adding futsal to their repertoire of different sports offered. So that is another exciting piece of growth, a real community club in the northern part of Nicaragua, El Tren del Norte, Train of the North. So they add futsal, which has become a popular sport worldwide.
Now, I've heard of futsal before, but exactly what is it, Ben?
Referred to kind of as a miniature type game of soccer. It's played in a much more condensed setting. Kind of a hybrid, not quite traditional indoor soccer, but somewhat of a variety to that. So allows for more participation in the game. And a lot of times it is a transition, especially on the youth side, from sort of a middle ground. You start off playing futsal and you transition onto the big pitch playing soccer, but it does allow you to hone in on a lot of different qualities that are useful when it comes to the big game and the game of soccer that Esteli has certainly done a good job of participating in as a club.
Yes,
their inception in 1960. Yeah,
the ball's a little bit different in futsal too, I believe, right?
Yeah, just a few slight differences in that game, but Esteli, I know their club excited about that development.
Just taking in the view here, Ben, with all the fans in the background. It's fantastic.
Forbes is working hard on the edge of the box. Started his career at Esteli, but Gawarch can't keep it in.
Any idea what a general admission ticket costs in U.S. dollars down there for game tonight, Ben?
Oh, that's a great question, and I will say
I'll have to look that up at halftime.
We've been very lucky to have a lot of inside support, a lot of great information from folks like Alan Chamorro, Helmuth Hurtado down in Nicaragua, who, for us broadcasting remotely, obviously we can't be there, talk to coaches or players, but they have helped us tremendously, and that's an answer I do not know, James.
We'll have to check that out. I'll look that up at halftime. But you mentioned Alan and the other gentleman. That fantastic job, always getting us some great information. We really appreciate their help always.
Now, I will say in all of our defense here, James, it's not like the price of admission has really been a relevant fact
right.
until tonight with no fans.
That's very true.
I will just point that out, yeah.
It hasn't really come to mind until just now, as a matter of fact.
Acevedo,
Gawarch took a shot to the shin there.
Acevedo just clipping him. Kind of a stop-start last 10, 15 minutes. We saw up and down action the first 10 minutes or so, but as we play coming up on the first half cooling break, which comes at the half-hour mark, it's another free kick. This time in an out-wide position with Henry Nino, the León Nicaragua native. and former Liga Primera champion with Dirian Hen to take this. Again, looking back post, and again, just over his intended target. That's been a common theme so far tonight, James, really on both sides. That time looking for a former teammate of his at Dirian Hen in Marvin Fletes.
Yeah, just a bit too deep on that one there, trying to find Fletes. He was there, but just not able to make a play on the ball.
Having mentioned the Dirian Hen a couple times and how that will be Esteli's next opponent. But Dirian Hen, who have been the winningest club in Liga Primera history, they have really struggled in the early season. And they were nearly shut out again tonight. They had a late 89th minute goal to draw 1-1 against Junior Managua, the recently promoted club, champions of the second division last season. And that would have been 3 straight matches for Dirian Hen without a goal. So their struggles are catching a lot of people by surprise in Liga Primera, and they will take on Esteli on Wednesday in the Copa Nicaragua. That's the two-legged League Cup, the quarterfinals. As we'll get another corner here.
That'll be a good one.
Yeah, the next 3 matches, in fact, for Esteli, all against Dirian Hen. So some high-intensity matches coming up. This one, also high-intensity. A win for Ferretti would propel them above Esteli into first place in Liga Primera. Draw or a win for Esteli keeps them atop the league lead. Of course, what really matters is getting one of those top 2 positions, because you get a first-round bye into the semifinals of the half-season ending tournament. I mentioned how at times they've had a format of the top 4 get in, but in recent years they've changed it to allowing the top 6 to get in, where the top 2 get byes, and then 3 versus 6, 4 versus 5 in a type of quarterfinal match, and then they go to the 2-legged aggregate ties starting in the semifinals. So it's those top 2 spots that really matter, not so much just the regular season title.
Well, right now in this one, you can feel the momentum slowly shifting over to Esteli. They're keeping it down on their offensive end a little bit more now, and Ferretti's going to have to tighten the screws a little bit here on defense.
Pushing and shoving with Luis Acuna. Both players given warnings. Forbes being active defensively for Walter Ferretti. And these 2 teams, I mentioned how great Ferretti has been defensively this year, but these 2 last year, they tied for the league lead, 16 clean sheets in 36 league matches.
That's very impressive, especially with the talent on the pitch.
Header from Betancourt, but that's seen all the way by Espinoza as he's able to collect. Well, Dennis Espinoza, he's no stranger to these long streaks of incredibly solid defensive play. He was at the helm back in 2014 when Walter Ferretti set a Liga Primera record. They did not concede a goal in that stretch for 747 minutes, which is over 8 matches of consecutive gameplay. So almost half a Apertura or Clausura season when you break that down. It's just incredible. And you think about it now, it's impressive enough that they've made it 350 minutes now without conceding a goal, but they're still not even halfway to the record.
An impressive performance, to say the least, especially on defense there. And that's really where they set the tone. That's kind of their calling card for this team, Walter Ferretti, and they hang their hat on their defense.
We've reached the first half cooling break from the Estadio Olimpico, host of the national team, as well as several of the 10 Liga Primera clubs, Walter Ferretti and Real Esteli. Esteli, they have not won in this venue since the Apertura, I should say in this venue against Walter Ferretti. They have not beaten Ferretti on the road since the Apertura back in 2018, and the player who scored in that match, Henry Garcia, is suspended tonight after he picked up 2 yellows and was sent off late. A red card in that 2-1 win against Jalapa. last Saturday night. So they're without really the only player who's had at least recent success against Walter Ferretti. You mentioned how Juan Barrera has scored 5 times, but against this Ferretti club, but that was all in his previous stint with Esteli back between 2013 and 2015. So they are missing a big piece tonight in Henry Garcia.
Yeah, Garcia is a definite loss for the team, as you see Hover Flores there coaching up the troops for Esteli, getting them ready to maybe get the first goal of the night on the board here.
Esteli, the last couple matches, and of course they do have that unblemished 5 wins and 5 match day record, but they've gotten off to some slow starts, especially the past 2 weekends where they went down a goal, both at Juventus and at home against Jalapa last weekend. 4-1 win in Masaya, not too far from here, a couple weekends ago. And then, as I mentioned, that 89th minute goal from Alexis Somariba, who is on the bench tonight. 2-1 win against Jalapa to keep their unbeaten streak going, up to 13 matches now for Esteli. And it was Walter Ferretti who handed the Train of the North their last loss back on April the 5th, 1-0.
And you can bet for sure that Esteli has not forgotten that, and Walter Ferretti would love nothing more than to be the next team to hand them another loss. So this is going to be a great one, and so far action all over the pitch, and I'm just waiting for that first one to score a goal.
6 titles in the club's history for Walter Ferretti, with a couple coming against Esteli. But as I was saying earlier, they've met 15 times, the most meetings of any 2 teams in Liga Primera title history. But Esteli, they've won 12 of those 15. So you talk about, it's almost a permanent sense, James, of trying to get revenge, because there have been a lot of heartbreaking losses Walter Ferretti have suffered at the hands of the Train of the North over the years. As this high ball sent in toward the box, Barrera gives chase, but that's out for a goal kick. And yeah, I guess when you have losses like that in a title match, it sticks with you, no matter if you're still on the team or if you're new to the club. Henry Urbina, he found that out the hard way. He came in. His first stint was 2011 to 2013 and made the tournament playoffs in his first 3 half seasons, but lost 2 of those 3 to Esteli in the finals. As a ball comes through and sent wide, a crucial block there from Esteli.
Great job in goal that time for Esteli. Another look at it here.
Fernandez
Ferretti
playing it through.
Ooh, nice job. Great save there for Esteli. They dodged a big bullet there.
Second save tonight from Rodrigo Romo. You get a look at the 28-year-old Spaniard who played at Ibanez. Technically an amateur side in Spain, but you, of course, have to consider that amateur sides in Spain are still very good when you think about the quality of the game in that particular country. A lot of amateur sides good enough to play professionally in other countries, and Rodrigo Romo, he wanted his chance to play top flight and does so in Nicaragua. And we have gotten the answer, by the way, to your question, James. It's $3 U.S. currency.
Did you now? Look at you, Ben. Fantastic.
$3. That's quite a deal.
That is a great deal. I'm wondering now if there's any tailgating that goes on before the game. I'm sure it's, maybe it's a little bit of a different scenario right now, but during normal times, there's got to be a little bit of tailgating going on before the game. I say normal times.
Well, yeah, I think you'll have to experience that firsthand and report back in future seasons. But yeah, there's the answer. $3 admission tonight. Again, this is
next
the
time I'm down south in Managua.
Yeah. First match with fans after the first 5 of this season, held behind closed doors, in the final half of the Clausura. And the Clausura Championship earlier this year had the same deal.
I don't know how much of the crowd ambient noise you have turned up in your broadcast software there, Ben, but it was great to hear that little swell of action there on that last little attempt. You can just hear the crowd noise in the background. Just great to have them back in the building.
Really, the only second half chance we saw Guarch send one in on goal, but fans really weren't even in their seats yet when that happened. It was in the first 30 seconds as this cross comes in, settled down, blocked in front, takes a couple deflections, but Forbes is unable to center it to himself. Like that's what he was trying to do, at least, after one touch off the side of Henry Nino's boots.
Another look at it here. In from the corner. Tries to set up in the middle, but Esteli just great defense on that one. No chance of getting that one through.
Cristiano Fernandez, you saw him there. Maybe the target of that ball from Forbes. Fernandez has scored twice this season. Both he and Christian Flores, they're behind Forbes on the goal-scoring list. I'm impressed, though, with Fernandez. He's really gone all in on the red dyed beard with the Rojinegros, the red and blacks for Walter Ferretti. I'm sure we'll see that close up again, but
yeah,
Cristiano appreciate Fernandez, that going all in.
Oh, definitely. He's very recognizable. He was on the Blue Lions last year. A great game last year here, or last season, I should say, between Esteli and Managua.
And he is the only player in the lineup tonight for Walter Ferretti who has scored in the past against Real Esteli. Scored for Managua back in the Clausura regular season, a 2-0 win on February 9th. And we are going to get our first card of the evening. That is the youngster Osler Mendoza. So in his season debut, third ever match at the senior level, he goes into the book in the 39th minute.
February 9th. That seems like an eternity ago, doesn't it, Ben?
I know, right? February 9th, 2020. It could be 1990, but yes, here we are.
No kidding.
But great to have sports now restarting around the world, and slowly but surely, safely, with mask protocols in place. 50% is the capacity tonight. And is, at least as was announced by the league earlier this week, that is the expected capacity until further notice.
Now, Ben, I know you also do some college athletic broadcasting up at the UNLV. Have you heard anything about fans there or anything for the upcoming school year?
U.S., it's a different story. This ball sent well wide by Deshaun Forbes. Yeah, I don't think that will be happening anytime soon. Fans, especially in collegiate athletics, unfortunately. But that's why we're happy to be a part of some sort of fan atmosphere. You know, and I was watching Liga earlier today, the French top league, and what was, I thought, interesting in a good way they set it up, they basically blocked people from congregating in the areas where the ultras usually stand together, and those are the areas usually in a pitch where you can see heavy congregation, people standing packed shoulder to shoulder. So it certainly seemed like a smart decision by Liga as they try to figure out the best way to allow some fans back, where you limit those high traffic areas, and it was kind of similar to what we have tonight, where we encourage fans to sit in those intermediate positions behind the goal, still spreading out. And it seemed like people were distant, everybody wearing masks in France. So they've really been the first big league in Europe to bring fans back. Of course, they also never resumed their 2019-20 season. They just canceled it entirely. But you have to wonder, you'd think a lot of these leagues around the world are sort of following everybody else and trying to see what looks the best, what's the smartest, and what's having the best results.
Well, it's such an unknown for everyone. It's the first time we've all been through something like this, and everybody's just trying to do the smartest and safest thing that the current guidelines provide.
A run there by Cristiano Fernandez. And a foul coming on Walter Ferretti, the hosts. Still looking for our first goal tonight in a meeting of Liga Primera's top two clubs from the Estadio Olímpico in Managua on this late August evening.
Comes Esteli.
A nice little back heel. And a foul is drawn by Josue Quijano down the right flank. Some frustration there from Henry Nino. Just fired the ball toward those advertising boards on the side. But Quijano, who spent 4 seasons at Walter Ferretti earlier in the decade, 2011 to 2015, has the most national team experience of anybody on the Esteli roster, 61 caps. We'll watch Luis Acuna come over to the spot where he was fouled and take a free kick. 2 half chances for Walter Ferretti so far. No real clear chances for Esteli, the visitors, in this first half. Rodriguez.
Who will score first?
You see Rodriguez, Medina, Barrera, and Betancourt, the 4 in that top line in the box. Defended by the veteran, Denis Espinoza. Espinoza, he's nicknamed El Pulpo, the octopus. Let's see if that has to come into play right now.
Fantastic.
We're still waiting on the free kick, some sort of discussion with the officiating team, and I think one of the that's Holver Flores receiving a yellow card. The manager for Esteli looked like, you see that the officials, they all have that little headpiece system or earpiece system. They're able to talk to each other. I think that one of the assistant referees alerted the headman that, hey, Coach Flores, he's doing a little too much chirping, so Flores gets yellow, and now here comes Acuna with the free kick. Good ball, but there is El Pulpo. Strong punch out. There was a foul anyway coming in on Esteli.
He lived up to his nickname on that one right there, Ben. I'm sure we're going to get another look in a moment, but I believe he was the first one to make contact with that one off of the foot of Acuna.
Over Flores, still not thrilled. I wonder if the Esteli coach was asking for a yellow after first a hard challenge on his man Josue Quijano, and then that ball fired out of play. Usually some officials will take a harder stance than others. Some see that as very unsportsmanlike, and they'll throw out a card for that, but not in this case. You can see, by the way, 3 minutes of first half stoppage time coming up. That's been somewhat standard when you have the 2-minute or so cooling break. Deshaun Forbes, the leading goal scorer for Walter Ferretti, he took a brief knock, but has been fine. He came off briefly in the first couple minutes. This is Cristiano Fernandez, who goes down for Walter Ferretti. And he earns a free kick. Again, Esteli arguing their case. And a yellow coming for that challenge at Jorge Betancourt, who goes into the book.
Oh, boy, this game just continues to get more and more intense till someone draws first blood here. It's going to keep going that way. It's a great one.
The naturalized Nicaraguan, Jorge Betancourt, from Medellin, Colombia. But he starts his second straight match. And it's Jason Castellon. He scored against Junior Managua earlier this season. He'll look to send this free kick in as we've reached first half stoppage time. And it's the captain, Manuel Rosas, who gets there first, the 11th year member of the Train of the North, trying to release things out. Acuna looking for Barrera on the counter, but snuffed out well by Ferretti. They've lived up to their billing, James, as the best defensive team in Liga Primera so far.
Indeed, they have. They've played a great game so far, and they haven't given very much ground at all on defense.
Extremely disciplined in all of their tactics, and they've drawn quite a few fouls. I think we might be getting another yellow, and we will. That's 3 yellow cards, 1 on the manager, Flores. Now it's Oscar Acevedo who follows Jorge Betancourt into the book in first half stoppage time.
It's getting chippy.
So the 23-year-old Acevedo into the book. I'm sure for Oliver Flores, he'll be happy to hear the halftime whistle. In all honesty, you've seen 2 pretty good chances for Walter Ferretti, but Rodrigo Romo, he has proven himself to be up to the challenge in goal tonight.
And he's facing onslaught as well. You know, you just keep kind of waiting for the end of this first half to just be able to breathe out a little bit, because this has been an intense first half here.
Castellón looking for this ball. That's not very good from the guy with international experience, Castellón.
Kind of whiffed on that one.
Yeah, every time you have one of those opportunities to get a set piece in, you just have to clear that first man. And Jorge Betancourt, he is a tall guy, 6'2", but he basically had to stoop over to head that one clear. And that will be the last action of our opening 45. At times, end-to-end stuff. Walter Ferretti showing off their defensive discipline in the nation's capital as the top 2 teams in Liga Primera play to a first-half stalemate. 45 minutes down from the Estadio Olimpico. It is Walter Ferretti 0, Real Esteli 0 at the half. We will step aside, take a break, and be back for our second half right after this. As you're watching Liga Primera Soccer, 0-0 between Esteli and Walter Ferretti at the break.
Nos has acompañado en cada minuto jugado. Has estado con tu camiseta alentando en la gradería. El Independencia ha rugido con tu grito de combate. Tus bengalas han iluminado los campos de juego. Has estado en cada batalla, en cada victoria, en cada derrota. Esta vez, por las circunstancias en las que enfrenta el mundo, por esa batalla que vamos a ganar, las graderías están vacías, pero nunca nos sentimos solos, porque tu camiseta, tu grito, tus bengalas nos iluminaron el corazón hasta el último minuto. Y como en cada final, dejamos todo en la cancha por vos. Este título tiene tu nombre. Gracias, fanaticada. Yo soy del Tren.
Viví la nueva experiencia digital del campeón nacional de Nicaragua. Ingresa a realestelifc.com y disfruta de la nueva app online del Tren del Norte. Noticias, resultados, estadísticas, videos y todas nuestras series en un solo lugar. Recibí notificaciones directamente en tu dispositivo. Suscríbete ahora y sé parte de la familia rojiblanca.
The Train of the North invites you to subscribe to its new YouTube channel, where you can enjoy live matches, scores, interviews, and exclusive content from the greatest soccer club and reigning Nicaraguan champion. The time to be engaged with the international train has arrived. Follow the train from the north.
Lo bueno es que te pagan por eso. Por ese videito lindo que me hizo. Sí, ya, no, muéstralo. Sí, porque sirve el nuevo trípode que anda. Sí, man. Como si fuera una especie de... Solo me iba agarrando la bolsa.
Welcome back to the Estadio Olímpico in the nation's capital, Managua, Nicaragua, where the top two teams in Nicaragua's Liga Primera deadlocked after our opening 45 minutes. Real Esteli, the visitors, 0, and Walter Ferretti, the hosts, 0. Ben Wilson back alongside James Poovey. Fun first half for a 0-0 match. We saw a couple of really good chances for the hosts and Walter Ferretti. Esteli frustrated at times by the hosts' superb defending as they've continued to show why they are the best defensive unit in Liga Primera. And the question I ask you now, James, not only your thoughts on the first half, but who do you see prevailing, at least coming out with the first goal in the second half based on what we've seen so far?
Well, the game got off to a ferocious start, Ben. Taufik Kawarch with the first chance of the game, just not even a minute in. And ever since then, it's been a flurry of activity. Both teams evenly matched. We mentioned the goal scorers on both these squads with the top two goal scorers in Deshaun Forbes and Juan Barrera with the alternate teams respectively. But also both these teams know how to play great defense. And so it's exactly what we expect from the top two teams in Liga Primera, and we're scoreless at the half. I have a gut feeling that Ferretti is going to get one here very shortly in the second half.
We'll see the first adjustment coming tactically from the hosts, Walter Ferretti, as Brian Garcia. He replaces the youngster Osler Mendoza in his season debut. So Garcia on. He played all 90 minutes in that upset win at Dirian Hen last Saturday night, 1-0. And the number 11 in the red and blacks is on as the second half underway. Esteli of Tren del Norte in the visiting red and white jerseys. Walter Ferretti in the black and the reds. We're happy to have you along. First match of the season with fans allowed in Liga Primera. So that's great to hear in the background. And right away, a near giveaway. Josue Quijano trying to pounce on that ball, and it's still alive. Acuna to Quijano, and he claims there was a deflection, but none given. Goal kick. And that's how the second half
coming
starts.
out. Yeah, Esteli coming out on fire right away, trying to make a statement.
No changes at the break for Esteli. Mention how these are the two top teams in Liga Primera through 5 match days. 15 points, perfect mark for Esteli. 13 for Ferretti, just one draw, and among their 4 wins, but chance to really create some separation from the rest of the league. As we'll see a foul, Yon Mascara for Esteli. Brian Garcia just onto the pitch going down. But you look at the other two real traditional powers, James, in Liga Primera, Dirian Hen and Managua. Mentioned the first half, Dirian Hen, they are struggling mightily at the moment. Needed a late goal to earn a 1-1 draw as this ball played into the box. Rodrigo Romo right there. So Dirian Hen draws against Junior Managua, the recently promoted side into Liga Primera. And then Managua, the Blue Lions, whom Esteli faced and beat twice in last year's Apertura and Clausura championship matches, they lost to Jalapa 1-0 tonight. Big upset in Liga Primera. Jalapa, who I guess might not be as surprising to us, James, because we saw them last weekend, and they probably at the least should have had a draw against Esteli, but two big powers struggling at the moment. Second straight loss for the Blue Lions of Managua.
Jalapa, a young team overall, and they gave Esteli all they could handle last week. And you mentioned the upset that they got a hold of tonight. So impressive performance there by Jalapa. And Dirian Hen, another traditional powerhouse in Liga Primera, but they are struggling here in this Apertura season.
So teams like Jalapa have impressed along with Junior Managua. They've held their own, the recently promoted side champions of the second division last year. So a chance for the winner tonight. And both of these teams, again, they're just vying for a top 2 seed because the top 2 teams, they earn a first-round bye in the end of the fall tournament that determines our Apertura champion for 2020. And a chance for some breathing room against that third-place team, which is currently Managua heading into this weekend's matches. Juan Barrera, the number 11 in The white and red sends it out wide. Cross comes in, but right at Denis Espinoza, the veteran keeper for Walter Ferretti. And haven't seen a whole lot of Juan Barrera tonight. League's leading goal scorer, 8 goals in 5 matches, but he's barely seen the ball.
Yeah, Barrera not getting a whole lot of looks so far here in this one, but he could come alive at any time for the Train of the North.
Acuna, actually, correct that. It's Quijano, I believe, who took a shot right by the touchline. It is Quijano.
One more look here. They're locked up pretty good there. Might have got a little shot to the eye or side of the dome there.
It is a foul and a free kick for Josue Quijano. In his 6th year now with Esteli, transferred to the Train of the North from Walter Ferretti back in 2015. Instead, it's Acuna who will take. But headed clear by the Brazilian Cristiano Fernandes, who is the team's active Liga Primera leading goal scorer, 37 career goals as he plays in his 177th career match tonight.
Too many red and black jerseys in the front of the net that time for Ferretti.
Hopeful ball, a little bit too strong, though, down the left flank. And we've mentioned how good Barrera has been. It's kind of amazing, James. You think about how soccer in general, it's just branded as a young person's game, and you see so many of these 18 to 20-year-olds who come in and are so impactful. But you have Barrera on the Esteli side, 31 years old, who is already halfway to what his previous career high in goal-scoring total was. He scored 16 back in the 2013-14 season. So he's halfway there, barely into the season. 5 games so far have been played. And then Cristiano Fernandes, coming off his career best season for Managua, scored 14 goals, started 42 matches, a career high in both of those categories last year for the Blue Lions in his 34-year-old season. Just amazing. These guys getting better with age in a physical, as we've seen, and a demanding league played under warm and frequently humid conditions.
Well, you mentioned Fernandez, formerly of Managua, in his mid-30s, and Juan Barrera in his early 30s at 31. And those guys still playing at the top of their game, at the top level of their game, and doing it game in and game out, which is really impressive. It's the consistency that is really impressive about those two gentlemen.
You talk about body language, too, and we were mentioning earlier how it seems like there is a little bit more, a slightly increased amount of emotion intensity with the addition of the fans. It's been that way even behind closed doors, but just a little extra juice. You look, though, at Fernandez and Barrera, and they go to the next level with that, and it's that tenacity, and it almost seems to be not only veteran savvy, but a way of intimidation for them when they come charging at that back line that's made them so successful. Looks like a foul coming here on Walter Ferretti, or on Esteli, excuse me. Ball is brought back. Esteli with the chance to restart play after the foul on the hosts. So, yeah, you look at the way those elder statesmen of the league play, and something for guys like Deshaun Forbes to look up to and model their games after.
Well, definite examples of how it's done, especially at the professional level. A lot of things can be learned from those veteran players.
Christian Flores, a 24-year-old from Managua, his strike blocked out. Nice job in defense by Henry Nino as he prevents the counter.
Nino flying in there that time, the 22-year-old from León, Nicaragua.
Defense certainly the highlight as far as what has prevailed. Right as I say that, a near giveaway by Esteli, but they're able to briefly keep possession. You look at, though, last season, these teams met 4 times, and Esteli, who were a very good goal-scoring team, scored just once in 360 minutes. It was a 3-1 aggregate over 4 matches. lot of low-scoring affairs. It was all either 0-0, 1-1, or 1-0 in the 4 meetings between these two teams. It's Barrera. Low ball shielded away by Fletes and doing some hard work. Fletes, though, unable to prevent Barrera from sticking with it. And the 31-year-old from Ocotal does earn an Esteli corner.
Those guys are sliding all over the place down there, Ben. I'm wondering if it's a little bit slick on the surface in that corner or what, but it seems like a lot of guys were hitting the turf there.
Richard Rodriguez in the area as well, helping win that ball back. And so he and Barrera set up shop in the box. Esteli elects to go short on the corner. The 18-year-old with a bright future, Harold Medina. He's been quiet tonight.
Medina was big for Esteli back in the Clausura season as well.
Nice touch from Barrera. What can he do, though, between a trio of Ferretti defenders chasing him down? And he does
Not
win
much
a throw.
when they're hanging on him.
And Nino making life difficult as Acuna will send in this cross. Well, the bicycle attempt almost made its way through. Medina was ready to pounce, but again, you just watch Walter Ferretti, James, and how they set up really on any ball into the box. They just seem to be in perfect positioning at almost every juncture. Really make you earn any goal you'll score against them.
You're not going to get anything over easy on Ferretti, especially with their defensive prowess, but a nice bicycle attempt there from Esteli. He got a little bit of it, but couldn't quite get the full stroke.
Looking for Medina on the overlap. Again, the experience, though. Only 22 years old is Marvin Fletes, but he's already played in some big matches with an initial stint at Ferretti, but left 2 years at Unan Managua, and then last year at Dirianhen, where he featured heavily for the Cacique. And now it is Acuna to take. Good corner, header just wide. Mascara, the defender, was coming up. Not sure if he was the one who got his head to it, but he certainly got the highest of everybody.
Another good close shot there for Esteli, but just can't convert. Still scoreless. It's getting pretty intense.
We near the hour mark of this 0-0 affair. A draw does keep Esteli top of the league, but it also ends their streak of wins. 5 straight to begin the season. They're unbeaten, though, in their last 13. While Walter Ferretti, they're hoping to take over that top spot last year as regular season Apertura champions. In this match a season ago, they did defeat Esteli.
I'll ask you the same question, Ben, that you asked me a little bit earlier. Who do you think might uncork the bottle here first?
Well, Ferretti have certainly been the more dangerous side, but as we have seen time and again with Esteli, they've been potent on the counter. They've been able to turn games around where they looked like the second best. Hard to rule that out from either side, but you have to give the edge just slightly to Ferretti, the host right now. Crowd, though, not having a whole lot of reason to really make a lot of noise, even though this is their first game allowed back. It's been a defensive struggle since the halftime break. Medina looks to serve it out wide. Tracking back is Betancourt, has Rodriguez to his left. Instead sends it up top for Mascara. 1-2 attempt between Barrera and Acuna, and again, there's that positioning.
And Harold Medina, you mentioned, only 18 years old, but plays so much more mature than that, especially here in the professional ranks.
So, hey there, Calero. A moment ago, he and Brian Garcia helping to break up that play. One of the defenders down behind the play as well for Walter Ferretti. Long ball forward, but Rosas and Acevedo snuff out the chance. Esteli, they have had more of the possession since the halftime break. But in that final third, it's just been a sea of black and red jerseys shutting things down.
Yeah, it seems like once they start to close in or maybe just find a little bit of a crease, that window closes very quickly because Ferretti is just so dominant on defense.
Here comes another push forward with Harold Medina. High cross looking for Barrera. Quijano there in support. A little bit too much air under that crossing attempt. I will say, as far as the crowd goes, and it was a good atmosphere at the start, we've got the drums beating now, but we've not seen a return of any of the brass instruments that we saw at the start.
No, the brass might have taken a halftime break and not returned to the field. I'm not sure, Ben, but it was quite entertaining in the first half. They might be firing up the grill for a little post-game action after the game outside. Oh, there we go, right on cue.
Yeah, never doubt the horns there, James. I just wanted to make sure they were listening, and clearly they are. So with that, it's now a chance for Ferretti to start a break of their own. Not seeing much of the ball in this second half. A nice little cut inside, but Flores got it all wrong. However, they say Mosquera fouls him on the follow-through there for that tackle, and it was well after Flores had booted that ball wide of the target. So a yellow for Mosquera. A challenge he really didn't have to make, and it's a free kick right on the edge of the box. That'll fire up the brass for sure.
Oh my goodness, Flores a little aggressive on that one. I mean, a great bit of footwork there at the beginning of that play to elude the defender, but overly aggressive there on that one. He kind of just fell over the defender is what I saw basically, but a yellow card nonetheless comes out.
You made the point earlier with definitely this field turf surface. It does allow defenders to almost predict and start that slide tackle attempt early, as they can just slide on this surface. We've seen that a couple times, and there it results in Mosquera on the wrong end of it. And now Cristiano Fernandez. He scored 3 times in his career against Esteli. He's the lone man to take against the 4-man wall. And this attempt's not particularly close.
That one didn't have too much of a chance at all. A nice wall there in front for Esteli, and Fernandez just wide left on that one.
And there are a lot of people, James, that say you get a free kick, there can almost be that little pocket of space that is too close to comfortably take it, because you're so close to the edge of the box. There's just no margin for error at all trying to get the ball up over the wall and then back down with the top spin you need. It's a shot that requires so much skill. And if there's a player to do it, probably on Walter Ferretti, it is the veteran Fernandez, but he was not particularly close on that attempt.
Nino over now, and Flores deflects it out of bounds.
Yeah, man, down behind the play. Of course, us remotely broadcasting, we can't see who that is. It's all the way on that far side of the pitch. So we'll try to get a ID there on the Ferretti player down in a moment. And now we do see Marvin Fletes, yep, as he's helped up. Now, one advantage that Walter Ferretti will have in the near future, they have actually already been knocked out of the League Cup. They were eliminated in the round of 16, so they will not have a midweek match this week, which most teams in Liga Primera will have in the round of 16. Esteli, they host rival Dirianjen on Wednesday night in the first leg of their quarterfinal match, I should say now, in the Copa Nicaragua. Ferretti knocked out in the round of 16, so they'll have extra time off, and they will be facing off against Managua, the Blue Lions, in this stadium next week on Saturday night, the Managua derby. I guess there are
we'll miss you
multiple
Wednesday night.
Managua derbies, but yeah, this is probably the biggest one.
Yeah. We'll miss you Wednesday night, but that should be a good one. Darian Hen and Esteli.
A good through ball from Fernandez here. Flores is crossed. Nobody on the end of it, and Acevedo did well. That is a tough touch that he made look awfully easy, just spiking it straight up in the air to make the catch easy for Rodrigo Romo.
Great athleticism on display that time for Oscar Acevedo, and no one home there on the backside for Ferretti in support to get that rebound.
But yeah, you mentioned it a second ago, James, with the match Wednesday for Esteli. How often do you see this? 3 consecutive matches against the same team. 2 in the League Cup with the league match in between. I have a feeling by the time that second leg of the Copa Nicaragua comes around, which will be a week from Wednesday, September 9th, third meeting in 7 days, there will not be a whole lot of smiles given out and warm welcomes between the players. Might see quite a few yellows, possibly sending off or 2 once we get to that point. But that is some rare scheduling that we have seen taking place.
It is for sure. I mean, nothing like a little best of 3 little tournament inside the regular season, right? But as you mentioned, these 3 teams will know each other quite well by the end of those 3 matches, and they'll be probably quite tired of each other as well by the end of those 3.
And the thing is, I get that the scheduling quirks happen all the time, but you have to consider the Copa Nicaragua is actually last year's League Cup. When the pandemic hit, they canceled or they postponed indefinitely the League Cup while they continued the regular season, just for ease, really, of logistics. It would have been complicated trying to play both competitions simultaneously. It was hard enough to coordinate those matches behind closed doors in the Liga Primera season. So they knew this was going to be the matchup the whole way, and they still schedule Darian Hen. So maybe that was on purpose. I don't know. But either way, it'll be a intense next 3 matches for the Train of the North. And it's really, you think about it, the Jalapa match was intense. It took a late winner in the 89th minute to escape at home with a 2-1 victory. This has been a match that's definitely lived up to the billing, top 2 teams in the league, and now you'll get those 3 in a row. So it's basically a 5-match stretch for Esteli, with as much intensity as you could ask for, especially in the early part of a season.
Well, you mentioned the Jalapa match. I mean, that was just physical right from the jump, and then tonight they've been all over the pitch as well. So, fatigue is going to become a factor eventually as well, especially as they start to play 2 games a week there for the next couple of weeks.
On Mascara just serving this ball out towards midfield. Walter Ferretti looking for some more possession. Now, it has the feel, this match, like 1-0 could certainly be in the cards. 0-0 would not be a shock either, the way these two have held strong defensively. Of course, we're rooting for a goal. We always like to see the goal scored.
It's always fun to have some offensive firepower out on the field.
Fernandez does get the cross in. He had to go a long way and a long striding slide, but sends it right to Romo, and he looks to start an outlet.
Another nice save there for Romo. He's been solid all night for Esteli in the net.
Richard Rodriguez plays it out wide. There's Barrera, has Acuna in the middle, but his cross attempt blocked out. Marvin Fletes there again. And Esteli have to settle for yet another corner.
Outstanding position that time for Fletes. We might get another look at that one, but he was right in his hip pocket the entire time. And as soon as he tried to make a move toward the net, he was right there to stop it.
Acuna waits as his teammates get set in the box. Juan Barrera, league's leading goal scorer with 8 this season. Hasn't really had a clean look at goal yet.
Every possession more and more important here as we remain scoreless, approaching the 70th minute.
He and Nino jostling a bit on that far post. Here comes Acuna's corner in. Right to Forbes, chested down by Quijano, and then Forbes gets the block again. Another corner for Esteli.
That one almost squirted out, but Quijano, nice job holding it in.
Another ball in. This does take a bounce in the box. Walter Ferretti, they're so calm and collected in those areas, and as Cristian Gutierrez wins the ball, a slip and a man down for Ferretti. Try to see who that is in a moment. But did not look good for Christian Flores.
Ooh, he might have hyperextended his knee there a little bit, trying to go for that play. Ooh, they got the stretcher out for him now.
He signaled right away he was in some distress, and with only one sub made so far by either side, that was Ferretti at the halftime break. We'll see our first Esteli sub, Jorge Betancourt. His night is done. Brandon Ayertes, team's leading goal scorer last season with 11, is coming on. And we'll also see for Walter Ferretti, it's Raul Davila, 20-year-old defender who is on, and I assume that is going to be for Flores. Yes, it is. So Flores with that injury off. Davila on. As Medina tries to cut inside with his left foot. Intercepted, and then a hard stamping block by Oscar Acevedo. He didn't go anywhere as he planted his feet.
He was set and ready to take that charge right there, Ben, wasn't he?
Yeah, I believe that is Castellón who hits the deck.
Castellón took a shot on that one there.
Yep, it is the 28-year-old. So he's a bit slow to get up. One sub left now for Walter Ferretti. Two still remaining for Esteli as we remain without a goal. Nearing our 70th minute. Match day 6. It's an 18-match Apertura season in the fall before the end of fall tournament. So Davila just into the match, takes over Flores' spot on that left wing. And now a chance to counter. Barrera behind the defense, but he's offside. You can see the frustration on the face of Juan Barrera. Thought he was finally in the clear for the first time all night, but it's not to be.
Barrera loves that left side. He was breaking loose there, and just before he was into the clear, the whistle.
We've talked about the goal-scoring success so far for Barrera. Through 5 matches, averaging a goal every 56 minutes on the pitch.
Wow.
Just amazing. So he has not lived up to that average so far with us having played now 71.5. But that just an incredible number. And he is one of 3 players who has played all 450 minutes coming into tonight. That's now up over 500. As Acevedo has to head out this cross attempt. Rosas scoops it out from the back, but it's scuffed by Acuna, and Ferretti putting on some pressure. Forces a mistake. We'll get a throw in, but
set the bar so high he has to continue to try to outdo himself.
That's a tough pace to live up to as
Yes.
the 18-year-old comes off. The hero from last Saturday night, Alexis Somariba, the second sub for Holver Flores.
Could
The
he be the
Esteli
man
native.
tonight?
Third stint for Esteli. First year back from Juventus, scoring in his second appearance in this campaign. 89th minute, it was maybe 45 seconds after he came on. Acevedo this time guilty of a foul, and if that's a second yellow, that is a red for Acevedo, and it is.
Oh, boy.
73rd minute, Oscar Acevedo is off the pitch, and Esteli are down to 10 men.
It's just got interesting, Ben. The plot has thickened. Esteli now going to be down a man And it's going to get real interesting now. Ferretti is going to have to sink their teeth in and try to make something happen offensively here.
Now, he knew he was in trouble right away, and here's the replay as he fouls Castellon. Trying to plead his... looked like he got Castellon right on the boot, stepping on it. And he's arguing he got the ball first. So Ferretti now in the driver's seat, up a man, with 17 minutes plus stoppage time left. And it's Raul Davila, the 20-year-old. Cross comes in, headed out again by Rosas for another throw. And you have to say now, James, for Esteli, most likely a case of trying to hang on for a draw, which would keep them top of Liga Primera.
Yeah, that's the worst-case scenario for Esteli, is that they're able to hang on and get the draw. They'd sure love to get a goal here, but Ferretti just not giving anything on defense so far.
We'll have our second half cooling break in about a minute's time, so that will allow Esteli a much valuable opportunity to rest and get their 10-man reset. So Acevedo sent off for the first time in his Esteli career. This header right at Romo. The new first-team keeper has been solid between the pipes tonight, but more sustained pressure for Ferretti. Fernandez tries the back heel for Forbes, but it's not there. And Barrera looking to chase, starting a one-man counterattack. So Mariba up in support. Barrera's shot is saved. Espinoza got
shot.
low. Even down to 10 men, and you pointed this out a second ago, James, you really can't count out Esteli just because of that presence of Juan Barrera, and he showed why there, able to fight off a defender for the ball and create some space for himself.
And he didn't even have a great angle at all, either towards the goal, but was somehow able to get the shot off and nearly got it past the defender. Right there. Unbelievable.
El Iluminado going right at El Pulpo. And it was the octopus, Dennis Espinosa, who
against the enlightened
serve. One. Yes, the enlightened one, Juan Barrera. We've reached our second half cooling break. Again, Real Esteli down to 10 men. And they were on the other side of this last weekend when they were fortunate to not have a man sent off. I mentioned how Henry Garcia, he's suspended tonight. He was sent off, but that was after they scored their goal. So it was kind of a game-changing moment to not see red when Luis Acuna had appeared to shove a player well after any sort of play was over. Officials only gave yellow. And that definitely was a turning point around the same time of the match when it was even at a goal apiece. We'll see what impact Esteli going down to 10 men has in our final quarter hour. And I should point out, James, we've talked about how Henry Garcia, he is out tonight for Esteli due to his red card suspension. But Ferretti, they're also without one of their top goal scorers from last season in Fernando Villalpando. And he's the last Ferretti player to score against Esteli. He just rejoined the team on Monday. He had been stuck in Mexico due to COVID travel restrictions. Still on the roster. He scored 11 goals, though, tied for second on the team last year behind Deshaun Forbes, but had not been able to get to Nicaragua until just this week. So he is finally back with the team, but not match fit yet. And you think about it, even more impressive what Walter Ferretti's been able to do without one of their top attackers with them for the first 6 games.
Well, both these teams with enough offensive prowess that someone's going to be able to score a goal here. But Ferretti just doing a great job on defense. Another nice save in front there for Rodrigo Romo, and he's been great as well in goal tonight for Esteli.
A header straight up from Taufik Guarch. He's been quiet since the early going. Guarch had a first shot on target of the match about 30 seconds in, but we haven't seen much of the former Esteli man since then. And here comes another card as Forbes goes down.
Interesting.
Some more frustrations for Esteli playing with 10 men. No yellow given there. And it's Davila who sets up the set piece.
Could it be the hero from last week's game, Soma Reba, who just checked in? Maybe gets one in for Esteli. You never know.
Walter Ferretti with a very solid campaign last year, finishing 4th in the overall table, but losing in the semifinals to Managua in each of those fall and spring tournaments. But off to a great start in 2020. Now up a man in this 0-0 affair. Still, though, neither team having found the back of the net.
Raul Davila for Walter Ferretti doing a great job on the other end there momentarily.
Davila continuing that tradition of players who transfer to Walter Ferretti from crosstown rival Juventus Managua. He transferred over mid-season last year in time for the Clausura. So in his first full year, as it's Brandon Ayertis trying to show off the speed, arguing for a foul, still going, and in the end earns a corner. Well, Ayertis is furious with the side official. He thought there was a foul on actually Henry Nino in defense, but that shows how much speed Ayertis has, because he basically stopped and then restarted and still beat Nino to the ball down the flank.
Ayertis is so fast. The 20-year-old from Hino Tepe, he nearly rounded the corner there literally on 2 defensemen for Walter Ferretti. What a great burst of speed there for Brandon Ayertis. Here's
Acuna with a corner. Again, just 10 men on the pitch for Esteli after Oscar Acevedo sent off in the 73rd minute with his second yellow.
And now less than 10 minutes left in regulation here. Who is going to get one in?
Barring a barrage of goals late, though, this will make it 10 matches in 11 between these two teams where there's not been more than a goal scored by either team. Just a single goal in almost all of these recent matches. Some have been 0-0 draws. That's what we're looking at right now. But Walter Ferretti with the man advantage. They'll feel like they're most deserving of the first goal. But you have to consider Esteli best offense, 15 goals through 5 matches, and they're holding their own possession-wise, even down a man, although a foul committed here. And it's back to the hosts, Walter Ferretti.
Yeah, credit to Esteli right now, doing a good job, even though they're shorthanded. Not a whole lot of difference noticeable right now for Esteli.
A nice 1-2. Forbes finds the sub Davila with those fresh legs into the box. And it's a goal kick. He was looking for a penalty, but seemed to go down pretty easily without a whole lot of contact. And our official sees that all the way. Goal kick to Rodrigo Romo.
Yeah, that one's going to be awarded to Esteli there. And Ayertis displaying the wheels on the defensive end as well.
No surprise, those fresh legs making big impacts. Davila off the bench for Ferretti and Ayertis for Esteli. Each team with 1 sub remaining. Alexis Somariba, one of those 2 subs having been used so far, and he shoves Nino in the back. We'll get a little talking to from our official. A series all-time between these two that, like most that Esteli has been a part of, it's the Train of the North who have dominated, but in recent years, Walter Ferretti, they have been a very tough out, especially at home. 2 wins and 2 draws against Esteli last season in their 4 meetings. Despite only winning 18 times in this series history all time, which spans over 100 matches. 106 to be exact.
You mentioned the history between these two teams. There's so many close games because most of the time they're usually leading the league in offense and in both the offensive and defensive categories as well.
And that's what we have tonight. Esteli, best offense, but hamstrung right now with only 10 men on the pitch. Best defensive team in the league, Walter Ferretti. They've continued this run now. If they complete the clean sheet, and actually they're already up over now 400 minutes without allowing a goal. It was a 3-1 win against Juventus and just their second match of the year in which they last conceded. Of course, the fans, though, they want to see a goal, and preferably, at least for the home fans, their team. First time they've been allowed back onto the ground since the pandemic began in March. 50% capacity tonight. Most fans behind the goal to our right, a smattering behind the goal to the left, and in the main stand at midfield. Overlapping ball, looking for Davila, but again, good defense. Getting there first was Brandon Ayertis. They fight for the ball on the touchline, and it is a foul called on Esteli's 20-year-old.
The start and stopping ability for Brandon Ayertis is just phenomenal. Able to start and stop on a dime and make a great athletic play there on defense for Esteli.
Well, the man who's done a lot of running tonight, Luis Acuna, he's mostly been a sub this season. This was just his second start of the year, but he is off in the 86th minute. Francisco Paz, 37-year-old defender who's been a sturdy presence in the back line. He is on his second appearance this season, trying to keep a clean sheet with this free kick coming in.
Romo might have came out a little far on that one, a little dangerously close there to coming out too far out of the box.
He felt like he got a clear pass of the ball and did get there first. So that sub with Paz, that's the final one for Esteli. And now here comes the last Walter Ferretti substitute as they try and take advantage of the man-up situation after Acevedo was sent off. It is the 18-year-old Ezequiel Ugalde, who scored a brace against Juventus in his senior-level debut last season. Spent a lot of time on the U20 team.
Coach Henry Urbina wants to get some fresh legs in there for Taufik Kawarch. We mentioned his little spurt of activity at the beginning of the game, but he's been pretty much quiet ever since.
So it's Ugalde on his third appearance as a sub, although he's been in every match. So impressive for the 18-year-old, a member of the U20 national team. And like you said, James Guarch, not a big presence since really the first 5-10 minutes, with a throw coming to Esteli. And in all honesty, Walter Ferretti have not looked convincing even with the man advantage. They've excelled on the defensive side, but Esteli still having a good amount of the ball in possession. Nobody, though, in the box, and that's the issue you run into when you're down a man, having to work hard to stay level. Each man just having to run that extra amount. It just hampers what you can do offensively, and that's probably why a 0-0 draw would be happily accepted by Holger Flores at this juncture, with Acevedo being sent to the showers. It's been almost 15 minutes since his red card.
Yeah, on the road, you can't help but think that Coach Holger Flores, if he's able to get that 0-0 draw, would be more than satisfied to take that back to Esteli.
As they'll try to keep their unbeaten streak going to 14 matches in a row, dating back to that loss last April against Walter Ferretti. But with 3 matches upcoming against their arch rival Dirian Hen, they'll want as much confidence as possible. But they will return home on Wednesday, where they're in the process of installing a new grass field at the Estadio Independencia.
All right.
So not sure if that'll be installed in time for Wednesday, but that's been a big project they've undertook. Does Walter Ferretti, though, have a couple more pushes forward with Esteli down to 10 men? Fernandez in midfield. Similar to Guarch, Fernandez was really impactful in the first half and just hasn't seen much of the ball here in the second. As it's Nino who sends it out wide.
Less than a minute left.
Rodrigo Romo wants his men to push forward. And we saw Denver Fox. He's been that long project, really. I mean, he came in, a former basketball player. They have groomed him. Took over for the injured Henry Mara Diaga last season and then started all of the playoff matches when Mara Diaga had a 4-match suspension. But wonder, James, if we'll see Romo be the permanent new number 1. I mean, he has more experience, 28-year-old. He's an older guy. That'll be an interesting storyline to follow for Esteli. 2 very capable keepers they have. Fox, extremely athletic and an impressive figure in goal. It's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, a great problem to have, especially if you have 2 quality goalkeepers, as does Coach Holver Flores with the young Denver Fox and then the more experienced by 4 years Rodrigo Romo. So definitely Fox can definitely take some notes from Romo and pick up some technique.
A chance to get in behind the defense, but Forbes couldn't square himself up. Nino got in behind. First time the crowd has felt any sort of anticipation since the first half.
A little wave of excitement there throughout the building on that one there. Forbes right in front of the net, but unable to connect.
Hey, you know, he'd love to score, the former Esteli man. That's how he got his start, Deshaun Forbes. From the same hometown as Denver Fox. With our 3 minutes of stoppage time. Esteli at this point, down a man, just trying to hang on to the draw. And keep their 2-point margin atop Liga Primera.
Down goes Fernandez there.
And that's Soma Reba into the book. You see Henry Urbina. He wants his men to push forward. They really haven't. Outside of that,
game's not over yet, guys. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and outside of that last push, Walter Ferretti, they have not done much to take advantage of Esteli only having 10 on the pitch.
You know, you got to put some of that on the coach. You would think that they would want to drive them and really drive that point home that, hey, look, we got a natural advantage here. We got to go do something with it.
Coaches will tell you, though, easier said than done. Here's Davila, edge of the box, but nobody home as he looked to center. Fernandez the closest to that, but not a whole lot of pressure on that back line. Sometimes coaches even say going up a man is sometimes the worst thing for you because you get complacent. You just sort of assume that you'll have possession, and there is that line of thinking that sometimes it can be a weird advantage for that team who goes down a man. Barrera, he launched one solo counter after Acevedo was sent off, trying to do the same here as we're into the final 30 seconds of an 0-0 match between the top 2 teams in Liga Primera. Fernandez looking to send a long ball out wide.
Could we see this matchup again in the playoffs, Ben?
That would be in a couple months. Tonight, though, it's a draw as our final whistle blows. And in the first match with fans since March, neither team able to get on the score sheet as the best defense in the league. Walter Ferretti shut down the best offense in Esteli. You see the final numbers. Each team with 7 shots, the 2 on goal for Walter Ferretti, each in the first half. 14 fouls to 10. Esteli a little bit more physical as they also pick up more yellow cards as well. 6-1. The sending off with 2 yellows for Oscar Acevedo. Those are the final numbers. Esteli on the road, they do earn a point. They stay top of the league, 16 points, 5 wins, and now a draw in 6 matches, while Walter Ferretti, 4 wins and 2 draws. They remain second with 14 points. Your final thoughts tonight, James, as we take a look at some of the best scoring chances from this evening.
Well, this was an exciting game for sure, Ben. I mean, the action got started right away within the first minute of the ball game, and both teams played really hard tonight. There were some chances on both ends, but the defenses for both teams really rose to the occasion when they needed to, and it was a very entertaining match, even though it ended in a draw.
Now, on the bright side, fans allowed back for the first time in 6 months, which was great to see tonight. Always fun to watch the 2 best teams in any league go head-to-head, and that's what we saw this evening. So that'll do it for our coverage. For James Poovey, I'm Ben Wilson saying so long from the Estadio Olimpico in Managua, where our final score, Walter Ferretti 0, Real Esteli 0.
Meño, un empate esta noche.